Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kobe, Mamba, Black Mamba mentality, Kobe out, five-time NBA champion. Some have the nerve to say he's not even top 10. Kobe has more all NBA first team than any guard, if I recall correctly. There has been this continued play to tear down a legendary player's accomplishments, all really to boost another. And if you notice on the screen, what I have on here, it is a poll that was taken back in 2002, 2003. So if you guys are not familiar with what I'm talking about, recency things have come out with the ring culture. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that ring. I did a show and it got some pretty good feedback and attention from folks who are LeBron fans or claiming not to be LeBron fans, but defending LeBron. Let me just make sure I'm clear on some things. I'm not paid by Clutch. I'm not paid by Jordan camp. We're not paid by Kobe's camp. Nobody pays us other than YouTube views, advertisers, all of which who have their various different brands on our platform. I make my money really because I'm a income and estate planner. And so I do a lot of retirement, disability, long-term care, Medicare, legacy, trust playing, and trust building for my clients. So a lot of this for me is just fun. But one of the biggest things that people have known about me for a long number of years is that I'm a big advocate for truth. And lying drives me crazy. And so it amazes me when someone can see it and watch videos and say whatever and think that you leave out context, which is the amazing thing when I hear LeBron fans say you leave out context. So here's context where people are saying Kobe wasn't considered in the GOAT conversation until after his death. This is not true. And I'm going to show it today on this show. We may take a little while, but I want you to bear with me. So look at this poll, an NBA GM poll back in 2002 to 2003. This is supposedly all about Shaq, right? Shaq's the greatest player. Kobe the sidekick, supposedly. He's being compared to Scottie Pippen, according to Gilbert Arenas, and says that we don't respect the guy that was 2 that got 3 championships. Nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Because this is not true. This is my issue. Look at the poll. NBA GM poll in 2002-2003. Who will win the 2002-2003 Most Valuable Player Award? There was a tie. Shaquille O'Neal at 30.8%. And the so-called sidekick, Kobe Bryant at 30.8%. And then you follow by Tim Duncan, Jason Kidd, and a guy on the list who was a fantastic player, but he was not Kobe Bryant, and Tracy McGrady. We'll get into that in a minute. Then it says, which player do you most enjoy watching? Kobe Bryant was number one, 26.9%, followed by Jason Kidd and Tracy McGrady, a.k.a. T-Mac. Oh, and there was another guy who was in his final season, coming back from retirement, by the name of Michael Jordan, who was playing for the Wizards, followed by Allen Iverson and Shaquille O'Neal. Who is the player most likely to make a last-second shot if the game depended on it? Number one, 42.3%, Kobe Bean Bryant. Number two, Reggie Miller. Oh, and that guy that was out of his prime, excuse me, that was in Washington, Michael Jordan, who was 40 years old at this point. That's who rounded out the top at this point. So notice you don't see Scottie Pippen's name on that list anywhere. He was in the league. And if Kobe was supposedly, excuse me, on the level of he was considered like Scottie Pippen, where is your evidence? Where does it suggest that? So what we're going to do is we're going to start going to the video. Because, look, man, y'all must have forgot. Kobe Bryant, Mamba. Now check this out. Let's see if we can find it. Which one do we want to do? Let's see. Let's do this one. If Kobe was a sidekick, let's check it out. Courtesy of fair use. I want to shout out. Check this out. This is the sidekick, supposedly.
Because we don't have one. And here it is, the player of the decade, as voted on by you, the fans at NBA.com, Kobe Bryant. Are you?
Wait a minute. Kobe Bryant. Okay.
All that you can do is run. Cause so many people know your secrets. I know the one that cuts.
Who was the player of the decade? Are we ready to reveal?
So you just learned the player of the decade was Kobe Bryant. This was the player of the decade of the 2000s to the 2010. The sidekick? Let's make sure we understand who was in that era. Because for some reason, when we say Kobe Bryant is top 5, they say, y'all tripping. Y'all crazy. Okay, so a guy who was probably in the second or first most difficult era of basketball between the 90s and the 2000s, this guy was the clear player of the decade. It was not Tim Duncan, who people put over Kobe for some crazy reason. It was not Shaquille O'Neal. It was not LeBron James. It was not Tracy McGrady. It was not Allen Iverson. It was not Vince Carter. It was not Dirk Nowitzki. It was not none of these guys. It was Kobe Bryant, aka the sidekick. Y'all must have forgotten. And honestly, you've lost your damn mind. This guy has never been the sidekick. Let's show you the numbers real quickly. Let's add this to coming to the stage. Non-finals playoffs, 2000 through 2002. Shaquille O'Neal averaged 27.9 points per game with 13.6 rebounds. Wonder why his numbers went up in the finals. You wonder why his numbers went up in the finals? Because he was playing against mediocre centers in the finals. Shaq had a clear advantage, where Kobe's heroics, 28 and a half, 6.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, is what led the Lakers and helped them go to the finals. The sidekick, averaging these numbers. Let's take a look at some other numbers. Western Conference playoffs, round 1, plus Western Conference semifinals, plus the Western Conference finals. You see from 2001 and 2002, where supposedly Kobe is getting carried according to these so-called experts and folks with, 200 followers on Twitter. They're telling you that he was a sidekick. Well, let's look at the numbers. 2001, Western Conference, which do we all acknowledge that the Western Conference was the tougher conference? Even today, it's still the tougher conference. Look at Kobe's numbers. 32 points per game, versus the Diesel, 29 points per game in 2001. He ended up with 348 points versus 322 points for Diesel. 42 minutes a game versus 41. 2002. The Sidekick once again averaged 27 points a game versus Diesel's 26. Scottie Pippen's numbers are nowhere close to Michael Jordan. If you want to add those numbers up, they are night and day different. So let's stop this right now. Let's make sure we understand this. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are not the greatest duo. On the screen is Shaq and Kobe was the greatest duo. There's levels differences between Jordan and Kobe and Scottie Pippen. The levels between Shaq and Kobe, Kobe was the better player. And we've learned this historically. But Shaq had the advantage in the Eastern Conference in the Dikembe Mutombo, who played for the Sixers. He typically had the advantage in the finals, where he didn't have it when you were dealing with David Robinson and Tim Duncan and the guys from Arvydas Sabonis and all these other big, strong guys playing in the West at that time. That's not the case. Let's take another look at some more numbers. If I added this already, let's see. Here's more numbers. This is 1999 through 2004 playoffs. This is an average of 91 games. Let's take a look at this number. Let's take a look. Truth matters, folks. We got to stop leaving out context, which somebody accused me of, which I thought was hilarious. Stop leaving out context when we say, oh, Shaq is just better. You're giving an opinion. When you say, and this, I'm going to get into this next. I'm going to take a quick commercial. But this everything being subjective now, if I would have played with Shaq, I would have done this too. And Tracy McGrady is one of my favorite players back then during that time. But you're not Kobe, bro. You're not Kobe. There's a difference. You might have been more athletically gifted than Kobe, but you didn't have that work ethic that Kobe had. If Shaq had the work ethic that Kobe had, the Lakers might be still winning championships if they had stayed together. Now, I'm using a little bit of hyperbole, but I'm just joking in the sense that they probably would have won 7 championships if they had stayed together. But again, hypotheticals. We don't know. So we can't act like hypotheticals are gospel. They're not. We see this all the time. If I played with Shaq, or I played with this, if LeBron was on this team, stop it. That's not true. We don't know that. What we do know is what we know, is what actually happened. Kobe, look at this, 1999 through 2004 playoffs, 91 games accounted for in the playoffs. Kobe averaged 26 points, Shaq averages 27. He averaged 5.4 rebounds, Shaq averaged 14. Of course, he's a big man, he's a center. Kobe averages 5.1 assists, Shaq averaged 3. Kobe averaged more steals, Shaq averaged more blocks. Can we stop Sidekick? Really? This is Sidekick? No. What we have was Superman. And I don't even want to say Batman, because Batman, that's a whole nother thing. Batman got no powers like that. This is Superman and who else? And I don't know, Hulk, Thor is what that was. I know I'm taking two different people from two different universes, but that's the point. Superman and Century. This is what we're talking about when you're talking about Kobe and Shaq. It was not, he was the sidekick. Stop disrespecting Mamba, man. Let's take a quick commercial. Let me play you one more video. Let me see if I can find it. Let me play one more video before I go to commercial break. And I want to see if I'm going to hear from, let's see. Let's see if I can find, let's try this one. Let's see what happens. Oh, let's hear from Shaq.
Greatest player in basketball gave me the award. And I said once before that Kobe Bryant was the greatest player in the game. And I meant that when I said that. I told Kobe today he was my idol. He was playing. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think he's the best player in the league.
Okay. Did we hear that? Did we hear that? Are our eyes or ears, I should say, did we not hear and see that? This is Shaq not just talking, as some would suggest, admitting something that we all knew back then. The ones that had eyes that can see when somebody's doing something and didn't have agendas and everything else that has now come about. You watched the guy be the best basketball player we need to be. People keep forgetting when Shaq fouled out the first championship they won against Indiana, it was Kobe that said, I got this, and led them to victory. Kobe's numbers would have been better, but he was purposely injured by Jalen Rose, who admitted to that. So that's why his numbers were skewed. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, y'all. Y'all must have forgot, man. Y'all must have forgot.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
Now, more than ever, all U.S. veterans need your help. If you have an old car, truck, or van, you can donate it today and help them. And they'll come pick it up for free. Plus, the money raised helps our nation's disabled veterans and their families. Call the number on your screen right now. Within a few days, we'll come and tow it away for free, running or not. And the proceeds greatly help U.S. veterans. So please call right now.
I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
So we're back. And I would say that, again, y'all must have forgot. And I'm about to go and show you a couple other videos of some folks that I just thought have been saying some unbelievably silly stuff, man. And it's really aggravating to see, because when you know the truth, for me, the lies always aggravate me, and it's always been something with me that I've been a big advocate for the truth. And we want to talk a little bit about, the statement that Tracy McGrady made. And the mistake, but Tracy McGrady was on ESPN's First Take and basically said he never had a opportunity to win. And respectfully to the great Tracy McGrady, that's actually just not the truth, bro. And I have a great deal of, like I said, T-Mac was one of my favorite players to watch, but his teams consistently didn't perform well. But I need somebody to understand something. And this is something that I don't care, stop being so disingenuous. Let's be honest and say, okay, why do we pay if teams win championships, right? And they do. But why do we pay the superstar more money than the other guy on the squad? Why do the superstars get paid the most money? Why? Because we pay them to elevate the other guys around them. That's why. So in the crunch moments, in the moments that matter, we need you, the superstar, to elevate and take us over the top. And in a team sport like basketball, an individual can affect the game greater than they can in baseball. You know why? Because in baseball, or even in football for that matter, you're not playing both sides. I mean, yeah, you might play in the outfield, but if the ball's never hit to you, you can't make a play. You might play at shortstop, the ball's never hit to you, you can't make a play, right? So when going back to LeBron, who made the statement about Barry Bonds is the greatest, Barry Bonds may very well be, but in a team sport like baseball, you know how I can take Barry Bonds out of the game? I can't do that in basketball. I can just simply not pitch to him. And that's what they did when the Giants lost the World Series. They just stopped pitching him, right? They pitched around him. So making him ineffective and not being able to influence the outcome of the game. He also had pitchers that he needed to pitch well. That didn't happen. In basketball, we can look at that significant play by that player that made the reason or the difference of why his team won and why his team didn't win. Kobe Bryant, when the moments got brightest, rose to the occasion. Just like when Shaq got hurt. They seem to always forget that. When Shaq got, I'm sorry, he didn't get hurt, he fouled out. Kobe said, hey guys, I got you. Hey, big fella, don't worry about it. I got you. That's what he did. So when we start talking about T-Mac versus Kobe, let's just start doing this with everybody. Since we want to go there with Kobe. Well, let's take LeBron off of that Miami Heat team and throw T-Mac in there. Do the Heat win? You see how we can do this? Let's put a healthy Kobe on that Miami Heat team. Do you think the Miami Heat lose 2 out of the 4 series they were in? With Kobe and Dwayne Wade and the ability to hit and create difficult shots? Kobe, one of the best mid-range games ever. You think they lose? So you see how we can do this? We can start disrespecting every great player that has won a championship and try to put a guy who didn't win and say, hey, if I played with them, I would have won. We don't know that. Because when you were the guy that had a chance to win on your team, when you had a squad, and Tracy McGrady did have a squad at one point when he had Yao Ming, Ron Artest, Shane Battier. That's a squad. And they couldn't win. Matter of fact, I think he lost in the second round to a Kobe-led team. What are we doing? So let's show you, this is where facts matter. So since T-Mac injected himself into this conversation, this is, I don't remember who posted this, but shout out to the person that posted this. But he says, you've never won a playoff series, bro. Anybody talking about you was capping their ass off. Now, what we don't ever seem to talk about, and this is one of the things that also drives me crazy, is we give a lot of love to certain people who, let's say LeBron again. LeBron beating the Golden State Warriors, again, teams win championships. But in this scenario, that one made him the greatest player of all time, and that makes LeBron supposedly the GOAT by his media constituents and his fan base. But teams win championships. That's interesting. But he gets so much credit when you go to look at that Golden State Warriors team, is what I try to tell people. Let's put it in context then. So we put that in context. Was Steph Curry not injured in that series? He had gotten hurt. Did Andrew Bogut miss after game 4? I think he was hurt. So the interior defense is gone, right? Andre Iguodala was hurt in that series. Harrison Barnes went 1 for 700. Couldn't make a shot. Klay Thompson couldn't make a shot. So what are we talking about? So we're saying that made this, and you're giving a guy whose team won the championship, Kyrie Irving, averaged 27, hit the game-winning shot, but it was him. Kobe Bryant took Pau Gasol, who was a fringe all-star in Memphis. Only made the all-star because he was a reserve choice. He wasn't Karl Malone. He wasn't Dirk Nowitzki. He wasn't Chris Webber. He wasn't Chris Bosh. He wasn't Kevin Love. They were close, I guess. But he wasn't Kevin Love. Kevin Love's a much better rebounder. But Kobe took that guy with outcast Lamar Odom. We know what has happened with him. Andrew Bynum. When last time we seen Andrew Bynum? A steady guy like Derek Fisher. These are not exactly top 75 guys. After Shaq, and won 13 playoff series, and in 3 years, from 2008 to 2010, beat 10. Hold on, let me say this again for the people in the back. Man beat 10 50-win teams. Went to 3 straight trips to the finals coming out of the West. Won a chip and defended it. Tim Duncan never repeated when we try to throw him over Kobe. Larry Bird never repeated when we try to throw him over Kobe. Shaq himself said Kobe was better than him, but we throw him over Kobe. This is what I'm talking about. And you throw LeBron over Kobe because y'all just like stats. And then you try to use head-to-head. This is the most craziest thing. They didn't play one-on-one. If they did, Kobe would beat LeBron. LeBron knows this. They played as a team. LeBron's teams were better. They were more stacked. He also had Dwayne Wade playing with him on some of those games. So are we going to use head-to-head in that situation? But we don't use head-to-head when you do LeBron, Kawhi Leonard. You don't use head-to-head when you do LeBron, Kevin Durant. You don't want to use head-to-head when you use LeBron, Steph Curry. You understand where I'm going with this? We don't do that, but we do it to put him over Kobe when LeBron won with a super stacked team with top 75 guys. And here is Kobe taking a guys that were not top 75, having a guy like Pau Gasol, like Jordan needed a Pippen. Don't even get me started talking about Rodman, who was 37 years old and nobody wanted him. And then Jordan said, I got him. That's facts, by the way. When we try to make certain things about certain players to try to elevate the others. Look at what he did. No player in history has beaten more 50-win playoff teams. Nobody. Nobody, baby. Keep sweat on me. It never happened. T-Mac never won a single playoff series. Not one. Not one. You're like a dream come true. None. He choked a 3-1 lead to Detroit. Losing games 5, 6, not 5, not 6, not 7. By 31, 15, and 15 points, literally gave birth to Tayshaun the Pterodactyl Prince. He had Yao Ming and a 2-0 lead on Dallas coming home for games 3 and 4 and lost both games at home. Then a third before getting blown out by 40 in game 7 to choke the series. The score was 116 to 76. Come on, man. He had a 2-0 lead on Utah and choked game 7 at home. So this is the type of stuff that real fans of Kobe Bryant and basketball got a problem with. And matter of fact, let's just go, since we want to go look at things, let's go look at the tape. Here is I'm not even looking at the head-to-head. I would be a hypocrite, like I just said. I don't even care about the head-to-head. Let's look at the overall stats. 27.4, 19.6. This is 938 games, 1,089 games, because Kobe played more games, which means your numbers could be more effective the more longer you play. This is a thing that benefits some people. Because the longer you play, if you get older, worse and worse. The credit I will give LeBron is the fact that he's played it a long time and his numbers have stayed pretty consistent. Doesn't mean he's winning, but his numbers have been consistently showing that he's been a good player, good to great player for most of his career. I don't take that away from him. I got him in my top 10, by the way, for those who think I hate LeBron. I don't hate LeBron. I hate lying. I hate the clutch media manipulation. That's what I hate. I hate LeBron has stopped being accountable. That's what I hate. The younger LeBron who said it was we lost because I wasn't there. That's the guy I respected. He was one of my favorite players, by the way. But this new LeBron that takes no accountability, that throws teammates under the bus and said, we didn't have enough this, we didn't have enough that, and how do we make the finals? That's the guy, because I know why he's doing it. I can see through it. He's doing it because he's trying to give you reason to push his fake GOAT narrative. That's why he's doing it. That's why ring culture don't matter. That's why his people are in the media trying to belittle Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant. That's why they try to say that rings don't matter when it absolutely does matter if you are the man of the moment that helped carry your team on. Not a guy that was Robert Horry. No disrespect to Robert Horry. But Robert Horry was never an all-NBA nothing. There's levels to this, and they know it. They just don't want y'all to be smart enough to figure that out. But there are other numbers on the screen. Kobe doubled the All-Stars, Finals MVP. He should have had at least 2 or 3 more of those. All defense. That was the other aspect of it, by the way. Kobe is a 12-time all-defensive player. Do we see anything on the ledger for Tracy McGrady as far as defense? You won't find it. That's the problem. That's the difference. Because great players who are all-time great, we separate them because we look at what you do on both sides of the court. And that's where when someone says LeBron is the greatest player overall, all-around player, I push back and say, no, he's not. Does he pass better than most? Absolutely. But when we say greatest overall player, that goes to the GOAT. That means the guy that was the greatest offensive player, but he was also considered one of, if not the best defensive player. That has never been LeBron consistently. The greatest player plays offense and defense because he can affect the game in ways that you can't in other team sports. That's the difference. Let's go to a couple of more videos. We're going to figure out which one we want to play. But this is why we get so hot about these things. Let's see if I can find this other one with Kobe. I think this is Rashad McCants. I think it's on Mind the Game podcast. And y'all,
yo, it never happened, but you can make them come to life, right? So scenarios like you wanting to play with certain guys, feel the exhilaration of winning with those guys. Can come to, I want to see what happens when I play with Shaq. You, right? Because it's called recall. It's recalling your imagination. But when you step out of recall, it's back to reality. The reality is there's only one guy who did that. So everybody else can imagine all they want about what would happen if you was to do this or that with this guy. We can't stop your imagination. But what we can say is in reality, there was only one guy who did these things, right? And he did it by backing up all of these things. So regardless of what you think should exist or shouldn't exist, when you want to come and imagine being something you're not.
In the Matrix, just come in the Matrix.
Just come over here, put it in the prompt. We'll make it a movie. We'll make it a documentary. And we can live forever.
The dream. Right? It's called, that's a good platform. The dream.
The dream.
You could be what you want to be in the
man. So I can put this on and be somebody if I want to. A weirdo, man. Can wear jerseys like this. This is Jersey. I just want to be. I want to be.
Imagination. See, that to me is exactly the point that I'm making about this hypothetical world that we all live in. of we can be whoever we want to be, and this guy could have done this if given the chance. Oh, by the way, if you guys are not familiar, Shaq played with LeBron. Of course, people say he was washed. He was at the end of his career. And he was towards the end of his career, but he was just coming off of an all NBA season the year before. They didn't win. Shaq played with Dwayne Wade when he was not the same Shaq from LA. He still managed to get a championship because Dwayne Wade elevated his team and took him over the top. But Shaq also played with Penny Hardaway, a fantastic, great player. And if injuries hadn't shortened his career, we're talking about a top 75 guy without question. But he didn't win until he got Kobe, until he got Dwayne Wade. But he won multiple times with Kobe Bryant because Kobe was that guy. Big difference. Let me play you another video because this it's frustrating to see, and I'm going to get on that too. This whole, again, about the Kobe disrespect, because I want to show y'all a couple of things about Kobe Bryant and the reason why when people say he's top 5, you also hear this from players. The media will tell you that he's not, but the media has been led by a lot of the fans and paid constituents of your boy. But I want to show you something if I can find it. Let's see. Is this the one I'm looking for? Oh yeah, let's go back and play you again, going back to evidence when people say Kobe was only this when Kobe was dying is why y'all say this. Lies. Check this out.
Kobe Bryant, at the end of the day, Dan, because you think I'm a punk, will go down as the greatest basketball player that has ever lived.
Whoa!
What does Michael do better than Kobe? He's a lockdown defender. That's the only thing that he does superior to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's a better ball handler, a better shooter, and a better scorer. Coin toss, it really doesn't matter. 62 at the end of third quarter.
That's a great curiosity.
Dallas Mavericks.
That's a great curiosity.
Dan Patrick, look me in my eye. Kobe Bryant will go down.
So, okay, so now we have Mark Jackson telling you that Kobe is the greatest basketball player of all time. Is what we just heard, right? We just heard him say this. A guy that is, you know, maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't have him in the league, because people don't want him telling too much truth. But this is what people were saying about Kobe when he was alive, when he was winning championships, not when he died. That's another lie that's been created. I don't know who created that one. I'm not going to blame Clutch or anybody else. I don't know who created that, but it's awful narratives, and it's simply not true. We play a couple of more commercials, guys. We still here, but I got to make sure I pay some bills, of course, and check this video out.
Are you having trouble hearing your TV or listening to conversations in loud spaces? Then it might be time to consider Nano hearing aids. The days of expensive hearing aids are over. Nanos are FDA-registered OTC hearing aids. They are powerful, lightweight, and simple to use, and their tiny in-ear design makes them nearly invisible. Plus, they are rechargeable, saving you hundreds of dollars on batteries. Don't be fooled by overpriced hearing aids. Prescription hearing aids could cost $3,000 or more. Nano hearing aids are only $397. But wait, we are so confident you are going to love your Nanos, we are offering $100 off through this special TV offer. Call now and get 2 CIC rechargeable hearing aids for only $297. You get a free portable charging case, free 24/7 lifetime telephone support, free shipping, and a 45-day money-back guarantee.
Call 855-993-2063. That's 855-993-2063.
We're back. If you come to the home stretch of this thing, I want to show you guys a few more things, and I think I have a couple more videos to play if I can find them. Oh, this is something I want to share with you guys that I thought, going back, and I mentioned Dwayne Wade. And I've been a fan of Dwayne Wade for when he was a player with the Miami Heat. Let me make sure I preface that. I even covered him at his basketball camp. Was a really nice, cool guy, really good to the kids. So had nothing to say about him other than it was Wade County. And so, because we talked after they had lost the finals and what they needed to do to get back, and that's what they ended up doing. So, but here's the thing that I think is interesting because once again, we still have people being disrespectful to the great Kobe Bryant. And I don't know if Wade was trying to do that or if he was simply just stating some false narratives because it simply wasn't true. So as you can see, um, this was the narrative that was spoken that Kobe Bryant was playing awful. According to Dwayne Wade, he says Paul Gasol deserved to win the 2010 NBA Finals MVP award over Bryant. Ironically, keep in mind, this is the same phone conversation that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James had after Kobe got his fifth, saying, "What you gonna do, bro? What we gonna do?" Because rings matters. So they conspired to try to stop this guy from winning more rings. Now, what stopped Kobe ultimately was his health. And that Achilles tear is a big deal to a player. The only person I've seen really kind of come back from that seems to be Kevin Durant. I haven't really seen anybody be the same afterwards. So hopefully Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, all these guys will recover from that significant tear. But this is what Dwayne Wade said. He thought that he said a lot of people don't know that in the finals. This is what he's saying. Well, let's see if I can play his video. Hold on. Let's play. Let's listen to him.
A lot of people don't know that in that finals,
all right.
last he didn't play well. Kobe didn't shoot the ball well. Actually, everybody thought Pau Gasol should have been MVP. That's how well Pau was playing, and Kobe was awful. But you never could tell when you turned
the
TV on that he was struggling because of his leadership is always there. His intensity is always, that fire is always there. So because he's 8 for 24 from the field or something like that, you could never tell with a player like Kobe.
So Dwayne says that a lot of people thought Pau Gasol was true. And I'm not sure if I'm going to play the video with whatever people were saying, but I'm going to show you something that is not true. So Gasol, who did have a good series, and Kobe was not playing awful. He had a off shooting night. Now we just watched, I believe, Shea SGA just go 8 for 27, ironically, and still was the MVP of the series to help lead his team to the final. And Jalen Williams also had a 40-point game in one of those games. It was clear that SGA was the MVP, rightfully so, even though he had a bad shooting game. What many people don't remember is this is what Pau Gasol averaged. So Pau averaged 18.6 points a game, 11.6 rebounds. He averaged 3.7 assists and 2.6 blocks while shooting 47.8% from the floor. So Pau came up big against the Celtics. But Kobe Bryant led all scorers in the 2010 NBA Finals with an average of 28.6 points per game. He also put up 8 rebounds, had 3.9 assists, 2.1 steals while playing an average of 41.1 minutes per outing. Kobe did shoot 40.5%. A lot of that was affected because of the last game, and 31.9% from three-point distance. You have to remember, though, that. So let's take a look at game 2 of that series. Kobe shot just 8 for 20 from the floor, including 2 for 7 from three-point distance while committing 5 turnovers as they surrendered home court advantage. So they're saying in the second game, on the other game, he didn't shoot well. He shot 10 for 29. But we have to also remember that Kobe was being double teamed, triple teamed, and was under duress in a lot of that series. But if I'm going to show you his actual stats beyond this. So he had a couple of games where he didn't shoot as well, but his will to win, which Dwayne Wade did say, it was the difference in helping put a, and Paul Pierce even says in his article, Paul Pierce admitted that it was Bryant who put a battery pack on Gasol's back. So his leadership and intangibles is what inspired him. So this is what Paul Pierce said on Speak. He took Gasol, all-star top player, and put a new battery pack in his back. That was the difference. Gasol was a different player. He played meaner. He played tougher. And I saw that Kobe installed that in him. Like Pierce, Bryant also acknowledged the considerable role that Gasol played for the Lakers in that series. However, when it was time to vote, Kobe's 7 outnumbered Al's 2. So Kobe even said, I cannot say enough about the Spaniard in front of Staples Crowd Center. He said, that guy's unbelievable and just a hell of a player. We wouldn't have won it without him. And that is true. However, Kobe Bryant was the MVP because he made Pau Gasol become a much better and much more effective player. That's leadership. That's elevating your guy and helping him win. And let me show you if I can find Kobe's stats. I'm not going to go into all of this, but let's see. I'll see his stats for that game. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I even see it no more. I would play this one video, but I think the video is a little bit too long. But it's people. You know what? I may play it anyway. You know what? This is one of those videos that I plan on playing. So I had Kobe stats for the series, but also one of the things to remember in that series, Kobe also had 15 rebounds in Game 7. Nobody really talks about that. His defensive intensity. And here's the other thing that I think people forget. And this is where I believe that is often lost. This is the same Boston Celtics team that LeBron and his Cavs couldn't beat. Even though 2 years in a row, LeBron's team had 61 wins, I believe it was, and they had 66 wins. And they lost in this, Eastern Conference Finals, I think, one year, lost to the Orlando Magic, and they lost to the Boston Celtics when they won 66 games. And this was a slightly older Celtics team, which Kobe then got his revenge and beat in the finals. Nobody talks about the fact that Kobe beat, when we look at the LeBron beating the injured Golden State Warriors, and yes, they did win 73 games, but if you look at their playoff record, they lost like 10, 11 games in the playoffs that year because of the injuries. Steph Curry was injured. They had to come back from 3-1 just to beat Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Remember that. So that team was absolutely not the greatest team ever assembled. That's just ridiculous when someone says that. And then the very next year they bring Kevin Durant. So what makes that team? So, but Kobe beat 4 Hall of Famers. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo will be a Hall of Famer. That was a super team that Kobe and just Powell, and he did have other help on his team, but when you compare the rosters, the Celtics were the far superior team roster-wise. But we forget about that. We forget there was no Shaq on that team that Kobe came back and helped and beat the Boston Celtics. We forget about that, right? So let me play you a couple of videos. Let me see if I want to play this other video as we get close to the end of the show. Let's see. I'll play a little bit of this, and we'll just see, go from there. This is the type of mindset that's out there, though, when we hear people just make
7 and 11.
Where do you have him?
I got him at 11. That's why I have him.
A what?
James,
Keep
Jordan,
going.
Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. Now,
What the hell?
Now,
I feel like Kobe gets slighted about all
people
this.
who played against Kobe,
thank you.
they know.
Thank
They
you.
know. They
Thank
know.
you.
If you haven't played against either one of them guys, you don't realize.
I say all the time.
Nobody stop it.
Well, you got Kyrie having
stop it.
Will you stop it? I don't compare anybody to Mike, but if I had to answer the question, Kobe is the closest thing to Mike. And is there somebody that's close to Kobe? No.
And Kobe is the closest thing to me to Mike.
You and me both.
I've never seen nobody as competitive like him but Mike. I say Mike, and I say Kobe, and then everybody else.
LeBron's after that for you?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely after that.
My particular order is MJ, Kobe, Bron. I'm on the violent side. Kobe and Mike were violent. They were
they wanted to
killers.
destroy conversation too about Jordan and LeBron. Who would you take there?
How come Kobe's name is never brought up? I think it's kind of disrespectful. Yeah, it's me.
Why do the players look at Kobe different than the media? For me, Kobe has never been out of the best basketball player of all time debate. I had guarded. In my 15 years of playing basketball, Kobe Bryant was the best basketball player in the National Basketball Association. Without fucking question.
Damn, man.
I got the chance to play against Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, and of course LeBron. I'm going to name those three because we're always talking about the greatest to play the game, and Kobe Bryant should and will always, out of my mouth, be named one of the greats to ever play the game. They deserve to be talked about as a trio, not a duo. If we're going to talk about accomplishments and you look at the whole picture, why?
I mean, just a certified maniac killer. I mean, that's who he was every night.
When everybody be doing this whole GOAT, best ever, I feel like they be tripping when it come to Kobe. In my opinion, Mike and Kobe, they up at the top in some other little separate room, but they get to go sidebar over here and talk about something else that don't nobody else know. Do you agree with me on that? Do you agree with me on that? Like, I'm just
Kobe was someone I just always wanted to kind of be like. You know, I've always looked at Kobe Bryant as a guy I look up to.
Doesn't matter who the GOAT is, my guy should be in the conversation.
Yes.
No, but hold on. So you guys just throw him out of the conversation. So somehow it just went from Mike to LeBron, and you threw my guy out of the conversation. His name needs to be in there all the time.
Best player, hands down, was Kobe. I didn't have a strategy for Kobe. Like, I didn't know what to do.
In the very first game of my career was against Kobe. Best player I ever played against.
Kobe is Michael Jordan. This is on steroids. Kobe is best player. Kobe is competitive nature. Championship. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
I don't even put LeBron above Kobe. The difference is LeBron's a nice guy. Nobody ever said that about Michael and Kobe.
His desire to win, the dedication in off season to get back. He's just tough. He's just a tough cat. But if you want to win and win, it's Kobe. LeBron's not a winner. It's just right. He's to win every other
money player. Kobe I was scared of Kobe late in the games.
Mike, obviously, one. Kobe, two.
Easy, Kobe.
Easy, number two ever.
I studied Kobe. Love Kobe, you know? Like, he's the definition of hard work. He's the definition of killer mentality.
Kobe is the guy for me. The skill set, the drive, the mentality, the will.
What makes Kobe special in players' mind? We don't go by your stats. We go how the person played, what was his attribute, right? They retired both jerseys. That's
something about him. You know, from the first time I saw him play, you know, the things that he did on the court, it was like art to me. You know, like he played basketball different than everybody else. And I was like, that's who I want to be like.
Well, Kobe mastered the art of war on a basketball court. When you knew you were going to play against him, like he wanted to take your heart, but you lost sleep the night before.
You also guarded Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe definitely the toughest.
For you to defend.
Absolutely.
MJ or LeBron?
Mike.
LeBron or Kobe?
Kobe.
I just try to fight for him. And when you talk about the GOATs, put his name.
I personally think he should be. But the things that we think and the way we see these things, most people come through this lens. The impact that he had, you don't have that impact if you're not one of the greats. The greatest ever.
But Kobe Bryant is there. He's as good as Michael Jordan on any given day. I said to Bryant yesterday, it's almost Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali. He looked at me and said, I'm not Larry Holmes. And he is 100% right. It is two Muhammad Alis when you talk about Jordan and Bryant.
For me, it was Kobe was the bar. He was the greatest player in the game. To me, he was, he played the same position. And so for me, I needed that Kobe more so than anybody else in the league.
I think Kobe was the best player that I've ever played against. I was a huge Kobe fan.
He's our Michael Jordan for my generation.
He was probably the best offensive player or best player I've seen and faced.
He rates right there probably with Jordan. I mean, Jordan will always, to me, be the best of the best of the best, but you got to put Kobe there, and that's where Dwayne and LeBron and Carmelo.
Kobe, by far. The most skilled basketball player I ever seen is Kobe being Bryant.
But when you talk about Kobe and his competitiveness, he was going to try to destroy you.
Yes.
And that's what separated him from everyone. He was an assassin. He would cut you, and by the end of the game, you didn't know that you were going to bleed out.
I think at his best, Kobe was right up there with any of them. I don't know where the knock is, but he was as good as we've ever seen.
Overall, Kobe Bryant's the hardest hat to guard.
He was obviously one of the best players in our league, the closest to MJ was for me is the.
Oh man, greatness. He's the greatest player of my generation. He was like, he was that guy after Mike, and he was about winning championships.
I think MJ is the greatest of all time, but I think Kobe is more skilled than any player that's ever played that I've seen.
You always felt like, okay, this guy can bring them back.
Even with a 30-point lead.
And so about halfway through the fourth quarter, I said, Doc, I think we're okay now. And he said, I'm not out until they take him out.
I feel like Kobe, skill-wise, he could do more than Jordan.
Who's the one guy where you just saw it and you were like, he's the best player I've ever seen?
Kobe. You just feared him right when you stepped on the court.
Kobe is the closest thing to Mike. Kobe has the same mindset and mentality that MJ had.
He was close to MJ, very close, but LeBron is night and day. He's not even, they're two different players. You can't compare Kobe and LeBron, but you compare Kobe and Jordan.
If you had to take Kobe or LeBron, who would you go?
I already know we're going to I would take Kobe. The reason why I like Kobe, relentless. He the Mamba. That killing that. He'll go out and play hard every night. He's not gonna care who he's playing against. He don't want to work out with you. If you're on another team, don't have the instinct like Kobe had.
Not.
So I let that play longer than I normally would let something play because enough, man. So let me just show you a couple of more things and then we're going to take it out of here. This show has been a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but here's Kobe Bryant by the season. See this by the season. These are his numbers and accomplishments and why people like myself and you just heard. So I'm able to listen to a guy sitting in his mama's bathroom or his mama's basement and his drawers that he's going to tell you that Kobe ain't this. Meanwhile, Shaq, Larry Bird, Allen Iverson, Jamal Crawford, Dirk Nowitzki. We're talking about the best of the best of players. Even the guys that were all-stars talked about them. Quentin Richardson and so forth. Isaiah Thomas. These are the guys talking about Kobe Bryant, man. Dr. J talked about it. As Dominic Wilkins, this is top 5. Hell, he's top 2 to me. Because if you were the closest thing that we've ever seen to the GOAT, which is Michael Jordan, you got to be number 2. You can throw Kareem and say, well, Kareem did not scare people like Kobe. Kareem was not going for 70 on you. And I love Kareem. I think Cap is all time. He's the great. Wilt Chamberlain was ridiculous, but I wasn't around to see that. But his numbers of video games. Let's take another look at what Kobe did. Most points in an NBA game from 2000 to 2009. Another reason why he dominated this era. He also won 4 or 5 chips during this time. 81, 65, 62. There's McGrady with 62, 61. You heard Tracy McGrady tell you he's the most skilled player ever. So if Kobe's the most skilled player he's ever seen, how do you think you you would have won as much with Shaq when you're not as skilled as Kobe. Gilbert Arenas had 60. Kobe Bryant. These are the numbers, man. Take a look at another number. Kobe Bryant has more 40-point games than LeBron and Steph Curry combined. He has more 50-point games than KD, Bird, and LeBron combined. He has more 60-point games than Jordan and LeBron combined. But you're to tell me he's not top 5. Top 3 at worst case. Laugh about it, joke about it. You just heard the greats talk about it. So you can dismiss them too then. Vince Carter, Grant Hills, all these guys saying the same thing, but you sitting in your mama's bathroom telling me that we tripping because you know more than these guys. People that have been paid millions of dollars to play the game, someone like myself who gets paid pretty well to talk about the game, but we don't know what we're talking about. You're tripping. Now let's look at one more statistic as we're going to let the final word be the final word. Here's another thing. Kobe, this is by Golden Knight, X handle GFX. Kobe really went to 3 straight finals without Shaq and won back-to-back titles with an MVP and 2 finals MVPs during that span. Closed out Spain. Remember, he was the guy that hit the big shots to beat Spain for the gold medal game too. And people are on these apps and in these spaces questioning his greatness. Clownish behavior. That's what we're talking about. So let's hear it from now. You know what? I want to hear it from the man himself. Oh, I do have those stats. Let's see if I can find those stats. Let's show you one quick. I did talk about his stats, Kobe's stats in the finals. Where is it? Where's Kobe's stats? I thought I just put it up on the screen. Where is his stats? Where are you? Oh, there you go. This is Kobe's stats during the finals that he was questioned about winning the MVP. And 30.76, 21, 5, and 6, 4, 29. Guard. So keep in mind his shot selections are going to be tougher, going to be a little bit further away, but this man, for one, is enough for the reason why. So with that being said, let's hear from somebody I think we need to hear from. Let's see. Let's hear from this guy.
I'm Sidekick. You see me every day. You know what I'm about. You know what I mean? So it's kind of insulting to me for people to think I couldn't be that dude. I'm Sidekick. You see me every day. You know what I'm about.
So, from the man himself, he was not a sidekick. You've seen him every day. You know what he can do. Listen, stay tuned for another one, man. We appreciate you stopping by. I'm out, bro. Y'all have a good